Hello, and welcome to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a podcast with me, Brittany Duncan, a millennial homemaker. Join me each week as I share all the things I've learned that make keeping your home, garden, and life running smoothly, all while working. If you are enjoying the podcast, please be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcasting app so you get the episodes downloaded straight to you every Monday. Now, on to today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a millennial homemaker. This is your host, Brittany Duncan, and today we are going to talk about how to up the cozy factor of your home. To me, one of the greatest compliments one can give about your home is that it's cozy. Whenever people say that to me, my homemaking soul flutters, and by definition, to be cozy is to give a feeling of comfort, warmth, and relaxation. Who wouldn't want their home to give that vibe? Before we dive into how to make your home cozy, I wanted to share a few housekeeping items with y'all. First is that my newsletter is up and running. If you previously subscribed, I have sent out our first newsletter. I sent it on May 27th, so if you're already subscribed, check your junk folder if you didn't receive it. And if you're not subscribed, you can do so by going to the bottom of the homepage of my website, untraditionallytraditional.com, and signing up there. Second is that we're in a new month, which means new recipe cards and a new garden guide will be coming out soon for those of you who choose to be friends of the pod. For those of you who love the show and are not sure what I'm referring to, if you want to support me in the podcast as a friend of the pod, you can set up a $10 monthly subscription, and in return, I will give you 2 recipe cards from me and a garden cheat sheet for the upcoming month, highlighting what I'm doing in my garden and things to consider for yours. It's a great option for anyone that wants some new kitchen inspiration, or for those of you that are new to gardening and looking for a helping hand of what to do when. You can sign up by visiting buymeacoffee.com/UT as in untraditionally traditional pod. buymeacoffee.com/UT pod. I'll have a link in the show notes for those of you too who can't remember that, or maybe you're driving and just want to click on it later. A very special thank you to Deanna, who was the first friend of the pod and signed up right after I launched it a few weeks ago. I'm so grateful for your support. Thank you for listening and for supporting the show. All right, on to the main meat of today's episode: how to up the cozy factor in your home. The biggest piece of advice I can give is to be intentional about the spaces you create in your home and to create spaces that serve as pockets of joy. I feel that our home became exponentially cozier, that's a mouthful, when I adopted the English cottage aesthetic and starting to view the rooms in our home through that lens. Of course, that may not be your chosen aesthetic, but as there are with many areas of life, I think we can learn a few things from the Brits, as in the British, not the Brit as in Brittany Duncan, but the British. Let me start with furniture. For goodness sake, if your furniture is not comfortable, find some that is, or optimize it so that it can be. Comfortable furniture does not need to be expensive. You just need to be strategic about how you shop. For any regular listeners, you'll know that I love an antique or vintage find, and furniture is a great example. You can find furniture that's vintage that not only provides substantially more comfort, but in my opinion, also more character as well. When buying furniture, look for down-fill. To me, there's nothing like a down-filled sofa, and I see them quite often in antique and vintage resale shops for reasonable prices. Now, if you have furniture already that isn't quite as comfortable as you would like, or you've bought furniture that is new, whenever possible, try out the furniture you intend to purchase, but I know firsthand sometimes that isn't possible. When Johnson and I moved into our home, we bought a large sectional from Costco. The price and the size was right. However, we discovered that it was not the most comfortable sofa in the world. But, you know, we've done what we can to make it more comfortable. We've optimized it. So how do we do this? Pillows. Down sofa or not, you can add down throw pillows to any piece of furniture that you sit on, and I would encourage it. You'll be hard-pressed to find a chair or sofa in our home that isn't donned with down-filled throw pillows. These do not, and I repeat, do not need to be expensive. In fact, I have bought almost all of our down inserts from thrift stores, and depending on the size, they range from $2 to $5. Basically, I go around the thrift store and I squeeze all the pillows, and pretty quickly you can tell the ones that are down or not. You can open up the zip covers and read the label as well. It'll say 100% down fill. Sometimes the count will be on there as well. And that's what I look for. Of course, the covers don't matter because you're going to put your own covers on them. And so I take them home, I get rid of the cover. Basically, I just redonate the cover. I wash and dry them, and then I put them into my pillow covers that match my desired aesthetic. I like to use an insert that is one size larger than my cover. In my opinion, that gives it like a fuller feel and look, and so that's what I go for. Going to take a little moment to pause real quick and just apologize if you hear any dogs barking or extra nails on the hardwood floors. Not only do I have Sage, our golden retriever, but I also have my parents' dogs, Toby and Riley, with me today while I'm recording. So there's extra little paws pattering around today. So just enjoy that sound if you're hearing it. But let's get into the shape of your inserts. In the corner of the sofas, I like to use a 24-inch pillow. I find that it can serve as a full backrest, and then I often join it with like an 18 or 20-inch square. And then on a chaise longue, I opt for lumbar-style pillows, and you may just find like if you sit in a chair and you feel like your lower back is where it needs more support, go for that lumbar style pillow. If you want something more on your shoulders, get a larger, thicker down insert. It's going to determine how many pillows you use and what shape they are, what comfort your chair is missing, and what you need. So if you sit in a chair and you're like, oh, it's really not comfortable, I wish it supported my lower back or my upper back more, get a pillow or pillows to help create that for you. Okay, blankets and throws are another staple for seating areas, and I like to have options in various weights. Personally, I'm the kind of person that I always want to be wrapped in a throw, even if it's warm, because I love that feeling of being tucked in. So I have some blankets that are very thin, basically like a thick sheet for this reason, and then I also have heavier throws for when I'm cold, and they get a ton of use in the winter months. Quilts are a great option as well for those winter months, and I look for throws that are washable. I look for ones that aren't going to pull easy, especially because we do have dogs with nails, so just be considerate of that when you're picking the knit or weave of your throw. The tighter the weave, the more wear you're going to get out of it. It's going to be a little more durable. And, you can kind of tuck them in wherever you need to, whether it's on the back of a chair or on the corner of the sofa or in a basket nearby or on a blanket ladder or blanket rack. Basically, I like to have some blankets within arm's reach in each sitting room. And then in our guest bedroom, I have one either on the foot of the bed or tucked into the side table so that if guests are cold, they have a throw that they can put on the foot of the bed, that kind of thing. Basically, pick them up whenever you see them and they're a reasonable price and they match your aesthetic, and maybe it's a weight that you don't have, you're looking for a summer throw or a winter throw, and just keep your eye out and build your collection. Lighting is my next aspect that I think is really important for the coziness of your room. And specifically, it's going to affect the atmosphere of your space, particularly in the evenings. I've recorded a whole episode about lighting. It was called Lighting 101. Yes, it's important. It was episode 29. So if you want to go back and listen to that, I really dive into all the aspects of choosing lighting for your home. I'll put a link to that episode in the show notes. But there's so many options when it comes to lighting now. Before, it was like, buy a light bulb, stick it in your light fixture, and that's what you get. But now we have dimmable bulbs, we have warm lighting, soft lighting. In that episode, I go over the difference between lumens versus watts versus kelvins and how to select the right bulb for the kind of lighting that you want. And my advice about lighting during the day is to maximize on daylight. This would be as simple as opening up your blinds and getting those curtains out of the way and cleaning your glass. Ask yourself, like, when's the last time you used a glass cleaner on your windows? How about the outside of your windows? I know for me, that's like the one that I tend to slack on, but it makes the biggest difference when you clean the outside of your windows and you get that dust and grime off. All of a sudden, like, the whole home is brighter and it makes it fresh. Cozy does not mean stale. You can have a cozy home that is fresh simultaneously. They do not have to be one or the other. As I go through this, you're going to sense that I'm moving through the senses. So next is smell and sound, and those are some other categories that I think make a big difference when you're looking for that cozy factor. Remember what I said about stale? Stale can also be a sense of smell, and it's not great. You want your home to give cozy grandma cottage vibes, but not necessarily smell like it, if you're picking up what I'm putting it down. Unless your grandma's house smelled like fresh linen and baked cookies, by all means, go for it. That's another story. But it's easy for our homes to not necessarily smell bad, but just smell stale. Your regular housekeeping will help to keep things fresh. Dusting, vacuuming, cleaning your upholstery regularly, mopping, that kind of thing. In the warmer months, you definitely want to keep on top of your trash bin and take it out before it starts to smell. On another episode that was called There's a Better Way, I talked about trash chips in there, and I use my freezer a lot for putting my smellier items in until trash day. But another option would be to use smaller bags in your trash can and take them out more frequently. Personally, I don't love that method just because it's adding more plastic into the environment, but that would be an option. Candles are great, but not to replace an odor. You want to eliminate odor first, then use a candle. Don't use a candle to cover up an odor because you're just adding to it. Smelly areas that you might not think to check often are your washing machine and your dishwasher. I've done another episode that was all about machine maintenance and cleaning your washing machine. I don't know about y'all, but especially with having a golden retriever and her hair and dirt, and Johnson and I are really active, so we have a lot of workout clothes going through our washing machine. We definitely have to clean it. And so we're regularly cleaning those filters and going through that. Same with the dishwasher. One that I think is underutilized in today's world, and that we're hypersensitive about having sterilized air and clean air and living in air conditioning 100% of the time. But to me, one of the easiest ways to freshen up your home is to open up your windows and air out your house. I love doing this in the morning, in the day before it heats up. All summer long, I open those windows while I'm making my coffee, and I just get that fresh breeze through the home to air out the stale air from overnight. And it's a great way to start the day. Open your windows, get some fresh air. If you live somewhere that you can do this at night and sleep with the windows open, that's super heavenly as well. So yeah, air out your house. Okay, last sense, but certainly not least, is sound. We recently set up our fountain in the garden, and I love the sound of it, especially when I do open my windows in the morning. I can hear the sound of that fountain trickling in the garden, the birds chirping, the chickens are waking up and clucking around, and it's just brings this sense of peace and coziness to the home. I love it. It's one of those very subtle things that makes a huge difference. Same with music. I'm a big fan of music. We have a record player. I love putting on albums to match the mood of the home, or playing music from my phone on Bluetooth and, matching the mood. If I'm cooking Italian, having some Italian music, that kind of thing. If I'm cleaning, it is throw down music that I grew up in high school, if you know what I'm saying. I just love it. So music can really change the atmosphere of your home as well. With anything, it's a bunch of little things that you do that all together equal having a cozy home. It's not any specific thing, but it's keeping it fresh, keeping it light, keeping it comfortable, and clean. I think like if you can achieve those things, that's where you're at. So whether it's the way the furniture feels against your body or the way your eyes perceive your home through lighting or decor or the way it smells through regular cleaning or baking or candles or the sounds of the home, that's how you're going to achieve your cozy. Small micro decisions that all lean towards the atmosphere that makes you feel at ease. Anyway, I hope this episode has been inspiring and that you will be thinking about how to keep your home both fresh and cozy all summer long. Until next week, happy homemaking, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Untraditionally Traditional. If you enjoyed the podcast, please share it with those special people who would love it too, and write a review. For more tips and photos of my home and garden, follow Untraditionally Traditional Pod on Instagram. Until next week, let's continue to make our homes places of joy and service to ourselves and those we share them with.